Sir, you clearly don't belong here. This is first class, not your usual section. The words cut through gate 12 like a blade. Jennifer Hayes, gate supervisor, stands behind the boarding counter with that smile, the one that says she's doing everyone a favor. Her voice carries across the waiting area, loud enough for 30 passengers to hear every syllable. Marcus Williams, 42 years old, stands perfectly still in his crisp white shirt and dark suit. His boarding pass remains steady in his hand while phones emerge from purses around him. The businessman in the expensive suit nods approvingly at Jennifer's words. A young couple starts recording, expecting viral content. This is first class, not your usual section, Jennifer continues, her pause deliberate, loaded with implication. Marcus doesn't flinch, doesn't argue, just watches her performance with the patience of someone who knows something she doesn't. Have you ever watched someone's entire world crumble because they underestimated the wrong person? The announcement crackles overhead. Flight 447 to Chicago, now boarding. 42 minutes until departure. Jennifer examines Marcus's boarding pass with theatrical precision. She holds it up to the light, runs her finger along the edges, tilts it at different angles, each movement designed for maximum humiliation. These can be easily forged, you know, she says, loud enough for everyone to hear. Corporate fraud is surprisingly common these days. The waiting area falls silent except for the soft clicks of phone cameras. Marcus remains motionless, hands folded, watching her performance unfold. His breathing stays even. His expression never changes. Jennifer reaches for her radio. Security to gate 12. We need assistance with a possible ticket irregularity. The businessman whispers to his wife. Good thing she's being thorough. The elderly woman 2 seats away shakes her head in disgust at Marcus, not Jennifer. A teenager posts to TikTok. Discrimination happening live at O'Hare Airport drama. Within 3 minutes, 2 security officers arrive. Officer Martinez, mid-30s, hand resting on his belt. Officer Thompson, younger, already assessing the situation with trained eyes. What's the problem here? Martinez asks. Jennifer's voice drips with authority. This gentleman claims to have a first-class ticket, but I have serious concerns about its authenticity. She pauses, letting the words hang in the air like smoke. The paper quality seems off. The printing alignment isn't quite right. And frankly, another pause. This doesn't match our typical passenger profile for premium seating. The crowd murmurs. More phones appear. A live stream counter shows 37 viewers and climbing. Marcus finally speaks. His voice carries no anger, no pleading, just quiet certainty that makes Jennifer's confidence waver for exactly 3 seconds. Ms. Hayes? Yes, I can see your name tag. I understand you're following protocol. However, I'd suggest you verify my ticket again, more carefully this time. As he speaks, Marcus reaches into his jacket pocket. His fingers find a slim leather portfolio. Inside, business card holder, platinum airline status card, and something else. A sleek black card with minimalist silver lettering catches the terminal light briefly before he closes the portfolio. Jennifer's brief hesitation betrays her. She glimpsed something on that black card, something that planted a seed of doubt. But she's committed now, too far in to back down gracefully. I'm going to need you to step aside, sir. You're holding up legitimate passengers. The word legitimate lands like a slap. The live stream viewers jump to 84. Comments flood the screen. This is so messed up. Sue them. Someone help this man. Officer Martinez notices Marcus's expensive watch, his perfect posture, the way he doesn't seem worried despite facing security. Something doesn't add up. Sir, if you could just... Actually, Marcus interrupts gently. Before we proceed, I'd like to make one phone call. Jennifer's eyes narrow. That's not necessary. We can handle this through proper channels. I insist. Marcus pulls out his phone with deliberate slowness, every movement calculated, every gesture designed to buy time while the crowd watches, while the cameras roll, while the evidence accumulates. He dials a number from memory, puts the phone to his ear. Sarah, it's Marcus. I'm at Chicago O'Hare, gate 12. There's been a misunderstanding about my boarding pass. Yes, I understand the irony. No, I'll handle it. Just wanted you to know I might be delayed. He hangs up. Jennifer feels emboldened by what sounds like a call to a lawyer or friend. See? She announces to the crowd. He's probably calling accomplices. This is exactly the kind of behavior we're trained to watch for. But Officer Martinez catches something in Marcus's tone. The casual mention of irony. The complete lack of panic. The way he said, "I'll handle it," with absolute certainty. "Ma'am," Martinez says carefully, "maybe we should verify this ticket through the system first." "I already did," Jennifer snaps. "The inconsistencies are obvious if you know what to look for." The announcement sounds again. Flight 447 continuing to board. 38 minutes remaining. Marcus checks his watch. Not frantically, like someone running out of time. More like someone keeping track of a schedule he controls. "Miss Hayes," he says, his voice still eerily calm, "I want you to look at my boarding pass one more time. Really look at it." The chain feels like it's... Jennifer snatches the pass from his hand. This time, she notices something she missed before. A small corporate logo in the corner, embossed so subtly it's barely visible. Her eyes narrow as she examines it. "This logo," she says, trying to maintain her authority. "It's not quite right. The placement is slightly off. Classic forgery tell." But even as she speaks, doubt creeps into her voice. The logo looks familiar, like something she's seen in training materials but never encountered in real life. Marcus nods slowly. "That's a very interesting observation, Ms. Hayes. That logo represents a service level so exclusive that most airline employees never see it. In fact, I believe the last training session on recognizing it was conducted 18 months ago." Jennifer's hand trembles slightly as she holds the boarding pass. "How does he know about internal training schedules?" "I scored 67% on that test," she whispers, almost to herself. Marcus's eyebrows rise just slightly. 67%. Just barely passing, if I recall the standards correctly. The blood drains from Jennifer's face. How could he possibly know her test scores? Officer Martinez steps forward. "Sir, I think we need to take this to the security office. Sort this out properly." Marcus nods once. "Of course. But, Officer Martinez, I'd suggest you document everything carefully. This situation is about to become very educational for everyone involved." As they walk toward the security office, Marcus places his boarding pass on the counter one final time. Jennifer's hands shake as she picks it up, staring at that mysterious logo, wondering what she's missed. The crowd follows with their eyes and cameras, sensing something bigger is about to unfold. The security office sits behind glass walls overlooking Gate 12. David Chen, terminal manager, arrives looking like a man who'd rather be anywhere else. His tie is slightly askew, his expression caught between annoyance and apprehension. "What's the situation here?" David asks, glancing between Jennifer and Marcus. Jennifer launches into her explanation with renewed confidence. "This gentleman presented what appears to be a fraudulent first-class boarding pass. The paper quality is inconsistent, the logo placement is suspicious, and the overall presentation doesn't match our security standards." David examines Marcus, expansive suit, perfect posture, calm demeanor. Something nags at him. In 15 years of airport management, he's learned to read people. Marcus doesn't fit the profile of someone trying to scam his way into first class. Sir, David says carefully, if you could just step over here while we verify your ticket through our system. The announcement echoes through the terminal. Flight 447, final boarding, 35 minutes remaining. Through the glass walls, they can see the boarding area packed with onlookers, phones held high, capturing every moment. The live stream viewer count hits 200 and climbing. Comments scroll past in real time. This is discrimination. Where's the manager? Someone call the news. Marcus pulls out his phone again. This time, he doesn't ask permission. Sarah, it's Marcus again. Yes, I'm still here. Could you please contact Elizabeth Morrison's office? Tell her I'm experiencing a customer service issue that requires immediate attention. Account number. He rattles off 12 digits from memory without hesitation. Jennifer's face flushes. See? He's calling more accomplices. This is exactly the kind of coordinated fraud we're trained to prevent. But David Chen freezes. Elizabeth Morrison. That name triggers something in his memory. Elizabeth Morrison, VP of Customer Relations. Her signature is on every corporate communication that crosses his desk. Sir, David interrupts. Did you just say Elizabeth Morrison? Marcus nods. Yes. She handles executive customer relations. I thought she should be aware of this situation. David's phone buzzes. A text from his supervisor. Check social media. Airport discrimination trending. Involves Gate 12. Handle immediately. 2 more security officers arrive. The small office feels crowded now. Through the glass, they can see a local news crew setting up equipment. Someone called the media. Jennifer feels emboldened by the additional security presence. Officers, I need you to understand the severity of this situation. Fraudulent boarding passes are a federal crime. We're talking about potential terrorism implications. The word terrorism hangs in the air like a toxic cloud. The live stream explodes with outrage. Viewer count jumps to 450. Marcus's expression doesn't change. If anything, he seems more relaxed. Mrs. Hayes, that's a very serious accusation. I hope you're prepared to defend it. His phone rings. He glances at the screen, then looks directly at Jennifer. This is Elizabeth Morrison calling back. Would you like me to put her on speaker? Jennifer's confidence wavers. That's not necessary. I think it is, Marcus answers the call. Hi, Elizabeth. Yes, I'm here with several of your employees. We seem to have a misunderstanding about my boarding pass validity. Elizabeth's voice fills the room through the phone's speaker. Mr. Williams? I'm sorry, what kind of misunderstanding? You hold our highest tier platinum status. You've been flying with us for 15 years. The room goes silent. Jennifer's hands shake as she continues holding the boarding pass she called fraudulent. Elizabeth, Marcus continues, your gate supervisor has suggested that my ticket is forged. She's also implied that I might be involved in terrorism. Elizabeth's voice turned sharp. She said, "What?" Mr. Williams, who exactly is making these accusations? David Chin pulls out his phone, frantically Googling Marcus Williams plus airline name. His face drains of color as the search results populate. Marcus Williams, CEO of Williams Aviation Consulting. Advises Fortune 500 companies on aviation strategy. Current consulting contract with scheduled to present customer experience improvements to airline board. David shows his phone to Jennifer. She reads the screen, her face cycling through confusion, realization, and pure horror. Elizabeth, Marcus says, his voice still maddeningly calm. I don't want to escalate this unnecessarily, but I think there's been a significant training gap. Could you please verify my ticket number? He recites the boarding pass number from memory, perfectly matching the ticket Jennifer holds. Mr. Williams, I'm pulling up your account now. You're flying on... Oh my God, you're on one of our new premium routes. That's not just first class. That's our Chairman's Circle service. Jennifer looks at the ticket again. The logo she thought was slightly off suddenly makes sense. It's not a forgery mark. It's the Chairman's Circle emblem. So exclusive that it's mentioned in training materials, but never seen in practice. Elizabeth, how many active Chairman's Circle members are there? 12, sir. 12 people worldwide hold that status. The security officers exchange glances. One of 12 people worldwide. And they've been treating him like a criminal. Elizabeth, I should mention something else. I'm actually scheduled to present to your board next week about customer experience improvements. Today's experience has been educational. Through the glass walls, they can see the crowd growing. The news crew has their camera rolling. Social media posts multiply exponentially. Chairman's Circle starts trending alongside airport discrimination. David Chen's phone buzzes again. This time it's his regional director. What the hell is happening at your gate? Fix this now. Jennifer slumps into a chair, still clutching the boarding pass. The exclusive ticket she called fraudulent. The Chairman's Circle status she failed to recognize, despite 18 months of training. Elizabeth, Marcus continues, I'm curious about your training protocols for premium service recognition. When was the last Chairman's Circle identification training conducted? 18 months ago, sir. We don't encounter these tickets often, so refresher training has been limited. And what was the passing score requirement? 70%, sir. Marcus looks directly at Jennifer. Miss Hayes scored 67% on that test. Just barely passing, if I recall correctly. Elizabeth's voice turns cold. 67%? That's below our minimum standard. How is she still in a customer-facing position? David Chen realizes his entire career is hanging by a thread. Not only has his employee falsely accused their most exclusive customer, but she's been working below minimum qualification standards. But the requirements to enter the employee is removed, or assigned. Mr. Williams, David says, his voice cracking, I need you to know that this is not representative of our usual service standards. Marcus checks his watch, not frantically, but with the precision of someone who controls his own schedule. Flight 447 delayed 10 minutes for final passenger boarding, the announcement echoes. Gentlemen, Marcus says, standing up, I think it's time we resolved this situation. Elizabeth, could you please conference in Robert? Elizabeth's voice hesitates. Robert? As in, our CEO? Yes. This situation requires his immediate attention. Lucinda bitterly decided, this is an outstanding... The room falls silent except for the sound of Jennifer's quiet sobbing and the distant murmur of the crowd outside. David Chen stares at his phone, watching his professional reputation crumble in real time on social media. Jennifer clutches the Chairman's Circle boarding pass, understanding too late that she's just made the biggest mistake of her career. And Marcus Williams, CEO of Williams Aviation Consulting, sits calmly in his chair, waiting for the airline's CEO to join the call that will change everything. And so vividly described the picture that many Williams analysts have. The connection takes 3 minutes. 3 minutes of suffocating silence, broken only by Jennifer's shallow breathing and the distant hum of the terminal. Through the glass walls, the crowd has grown to over 100 people. Local news vans multiply in the parking area, visible through the terminal windows. Marcus? Robert Harrison's voice cuts through the speaker, sharp with concern. What's happening? Elizabeth mentioned some kind of incident? The CEO of one of America's largest airlines sounds genuinely worried. Not the polite concern of corporate damage control, but the real anxiety of someone who values a relationship. Robert, Marcus replies, his tone measured and professional, I'm at O'Hare with several of your employees. We've had what I'd call a significant customer experience failure. Given our current consulting relationship, I thought you should be aware immediately. The words land like artillery shells. Jennifer's face cycles through emotions: confusion, recognition, absolute horror. David Chen grips his phone so tightly, his knuckles turn white. Are you all right? What kind of failure are we talking about? Marcus begins documenting with the precision of someone who builds legal cases for a living. Your gate supervisor questioned the validity of my chairman's circle ticket. She suggested I was attempting corporate fraud. She implied potential terrorism connections. Security was called based on her assessment. This occurred in full view of approximately 120 passengers, multiple live streams, and at least 2 news crews. The silence stretches for 15 seconds. When Robert speaks again, his voice has dropped to a dangerous whisper. Jesus Christ, Marcus. Are you serious? Jennifer, I assume you're listening. Is this accurate? Jennifer's voice cracks. Yes, sir. I thought the ticket looked suspicious. The logo seemed wrong. You thought a chairman's circle ticket looked suspicious. Robert's voice climbs toward a roar. Do you have any idea how many people have those? 12. 12 people in the entire world have active chairman's circle status. Elizabeth Morrison's voice joins the call. Sir, I've been reviewing our records. The last chairman's circle training was conducted 18 months ago. Jennifer Hayes attended, but scored 67%. 3 points below our minimum standard. She's been working customer service below minimum qualification. Robert's voice turns lethal. For 18 months. David Chen's career flashes before his eyes. He's the terminal manager. This falls under his supervision. Sir, there was a staff shortage, and we needed... David, stop talking. Right now. Marcus pulls out that black card again. This time he places it on the table where everyone can see it clearly. It's not just a status card. The silver lettering reads, Board Advisory Council, Strategic Aviation Consulting. Robert, Marcus continues, his voice still eerily calm. There's something else you should know. I'm not just a passenger today. I'm traveling to Chicago for our quarterly consulting review. You know, the $12 million annual contract we've been discussing. The room temperature seems to drop 20 degrees. The contract where I analyze customer experience protocols for potential system-wide improvements. The one where I identify operational failures that could cost the company significant revenue and reputation damage. Jennifer stares at the board advisory card, understanding flooding her face like ice water. She hasn't just insulted a customer. She's humiliated the man who helps design the airline's policies. Marcus, Robert's voice turns pleading. Please tell me this can be resolved quietly. Robert, let's look at this systematically. What's the current corporate policy regarding discrimination incidents in public spaces? Elizabeth's voice, now trembling. Immediate investigation, mandatory training, potential termination, and comprehensive review of related procedures. And what's the estimated cost of negative social media exposure for discrimination incidents? Robert's voice, barely audible. Our legal team estimates $500,000 to $2 million in immediate response costs, plus ongoing reputation damage that can extend for years. The hashtag airport discrimination is currently trending number 3 nationally, Marcus observes. Chairman's Circle is trending number 7. Your stock price has dropped 2.4% in the last 30 minutes. David Chen checks his phone. Marcus is right. Social media explodes with outrage, support, and demands for accountability. The livestream viewers have reached 800 and counting. Marcus, Robert's voice cracks. What can we do to fix this? But Marcus isn't finished. He reaches into his jacket again, this time pulling out a tablet. Robert, I've been documenting this entire experience as part of my consulting observations. Would you like me to share my preliminary findings? Oh God, yes, please. Marcus swipes through screens with practiced efficiency. Failure point 1. Gate supervisor lacks adequate training for premium service recognition. Failure point 2. Security protocols escalated without proper verification procedures. Failure point 3. Management intervention occurred without reviewing customer status. He continues swiping. Failure point 4. Discrimination accusations were made publicly without evidence. Failure point 5. Terrorism implications were suggested without basis. Failure point 6. Multiple violations of your own customer service standards occurred within 40 minutes. The litany of failures hangs in the air like a toxic cloud. But here's the interesting part, Robert. This isn't an isolated incident. My research over the past 6 months has identified similar patterns at 14 of your major hubs. The training gaps are systemic. The oversight failures are widespread. Today's incident is simply the most visible example of a much larger problem. Jennifer's quiet sobbing fills the silence. Marcus, Robert whispers, are you saying this is happening everywhere? I'm saying your company has a $12 million consulting contract specifically because these problems exist. Today, your employees have provided a perfect case study of everything we've been trying to fix. Marcus stands up, his movement deliberate and controlled. The question now, Robert, is how you want to handle this. You have 2 options. Tell me. Option 1. We treat this as a learning opportunity. Immediate policy changes, mandatory retraining, comprehensive oversight review, and public accountability. I continue our consulting relationship, and we use this incident to drive genuine systemic improvement. He pauses, letting the alternative hang unspoken. Option 2. I withdraw from our consulting contract, document this experience in a detailed case study for industry publication, and your company handles the fallout without strategic guidance. The silence stretches for 30 seconds. Outside, they can see news crews interviewing passengers, social media posts multiplying, the story taking on its own momentum. Option 1, Robert says immediately. Absolutely option 1. Whatever you need, Marcus. Whatever it takes. Marcus nods once. Then here's what happens in the next 60 minutes. Jennifer looks up through her tears, finally understanding the magnitude of what she's done. She hasn't just made a mistake. She's triggered a corporate crisis that will reshape policies for the entire airline industry. David Chen stares at his phone, watching his terminal become the epicenter of a national conversation about discrimination and corporate accountability. And Marcus Williams, the man they treated like a criminal, calmly outlines the terms that will transform their entire organization. First, Marcus begins, Jennifer undergoes immediate suspension and mandatory retraining. David implements new recognition protocols within 48 hours. The company issues a public statement acknowledging the failure and outlining corrective measures. Done, Robert agrees instantly. Second, this incident becomes a mandatory case study for all customer-facing employees. The training materials include full documentation of today's failures and their consequences. Absolutely. Third, I want monthly reports on discrimination incident tracking, training compliance rates, and customer satisfaction metrics related to premium service recognition. You'll have them. Marcus checks his watch one final time. And Robert, I want Jennifer to personally deliver my public apology in front of the same crowd that witnessed her accusations. Jennifer's face goes white. Through the glass walls, they can see the crowd, the cameras, the phones recording everything. But Marcus isn't done. Because, Robert, the most important lesson here isn't about policies or training or corporate protocols. It's about basic human dignity. And sometimes, the best teacher is public accountability. The room falls silent as everyone absorbs the full weight of what's about to happen. Robert, Marcus continues, his voice cutting through the silence like precision steel. Before we proceed with public accountability, I need you to understand the full scope of what happened here today. Through the phone speaker, they can hear Robert Harrison shuffling papers, probably alerting his crisis management team. The CEO of a Fortune 500 company scrambling to contain damage caused by a gate supervisor who scored 67% on a training test. Marcus, I'm listening. Tell me everything. Marcus opens his tablet again, swiping to a detailed spreadsheet. Let's start with the financial impact. Your stock dropped 2.4% in 30 minutes. That represents approximately $48 million in market capitalization lost to a discrimination incident that could have been prevented with proper training. Jennifer's quiet sobbing intensifies. $48 million. Her mistake didn't just humiliate one man, it cost shareholders nearly $50 million in 30 minutes. The social media metrics are equally devastating, Marcus continues. Hashtag airport discrimination has been used in over 12,000 posts in the last hour. The sentiment analysis shows 87% negative mentions of your airline specifically. David Chen's phone buzzes constantly now. Messages from regional directors, corporate communications, crisis management teams. His terminal has become ground zero for a public relations nightmare. But Robert, the financial damage is actually the smallest concern. Let me show you something more troubling. Marcus swipes to another screen. Over the past 6 months, my consulting team has identified 43 similar incidents across your network. Gate agents questioning legitimate tickets, security being called for premium customers, discrimination disguised as security protocol. The silence on Robert's end stretches for 20 seconds. 43 incidents? Robert's voice barely audible. 43 documented cases where your employees failed to recognize premium status holders. Most of those customers simply accepted the poor treatment and flew with competitors next time. Today's incident is unique only because it happened to someone with the resources and knowledge to document it properly. Elizabeth Morrison's voice rejoins the call. Sir, I'm pulling up our customer retention data now. Premium customer defection rates have increased 23% over the past year. 23%? Robert sounds like he's having trouble breathing. Marcus nods, though Robert can't see him. Your training failures are driving away your most valuable customers. The lifetime value of a Chairman's Circle member averages $1 and $2 million in revenue. You've lost premium customers, representing over $15 million in potential lifetime revenue. Jennifer looks up through her tears, finally understanding the magnitude. She didn't just insult one customer. Her inadequate training represents a systemic failure, costing the company millions. Marcus? Robert's voice turns desperate. What do you recommend? I recommend we start with immediate accountability, then move to systemic reform. But first, I want everyone in this room to understand exactly what they're dealing with. Marcus stands up, his movement commanding attention. Outside the glass walls, they can see the crowd has grown to over 200 people. News crews from 3 local stations have their cameras rolling. The live stream viewer count has reached 1,200. Jennifer, look at me. She raises her head reluctantly. You accused me of corporate fraud. You suggested terrorism connections. You called security. You did all of this because you failed to recognize a service level that 12 people worldwide possess. Do you understand what that means? Her voice comes out as a whisper. I made a mistake. No, Jennifer, you didn't make a mistake. You demonstrated institutional bias disguised as security protocol. There's a difference. Marcus turns to David Chen. David, Your terminal processes approximately 40,000 passengers daily. Of those, roughly 200 hold premium status requiring special recognition. That's 0.5% of your daily traffic, representing 30% of your revenue. David's face goes pale. He never thought about the mathematics of premium passenger revenue. Your failure to properly train employees for premium recognition isn't just poor customer service, it's economic sabotage. Robert's voice cuts through the speaker. Marcus, I need specific recommendations. What do we implement immediately? First, mandatory recertification for all customer-facing employees. 70% passing score becomes 85%. Anyone scoring below 85 is retrained until they achieve competency. Done. Second, real-time verification technology. Every premium status card gets instant digital confirmation. No more guessing, no more subjective judgment calls. I'll have IT start development immediately. Third, discrimination incident tracking with quarterly board reporting. Every complaint gets documented, investigated, and included in executive performance reviews. Marcus pauses, letting the weight of systematic accountability sink in. But Robert, the most important change isn't technological or procedural. It's cultural. He walks to the glass wall overlooking the crowd. Hundreds of people watching, recording, sharing the story of discrimination and corporate accountability. Your employees need to understand that premium service isn't about the money customers spend. It's about treating every human being with dignity. The training failures that led to today's incident represent a fundamental misunderstanding of what hospitality means. Jennifer's sobbing has stopped. She's listening now, understanding that this isn't just about punishment. It's about education. Marcus, Robert says, I want you to personally oversee the implementation of these changes. Whatever resources you need, whatever authority you require, consider it granted. I accept, with one condition. Name it. I want Jennifer to be part of the solution, not just a casualty of the problem. Everyone in the room looks surprised. Jennifer most of all. She undergoes comprehensive retraining, becomes a case study for the new protocols, and eventually helps train other employees. People learn more from redemption stories than punishment examples. Robert's relief is audible. That's incredibly generous, Marcus. It's not generosity, Robert. It's strategy. Jennifer's experience today makes her uniquely qualified to prevent this from happening to anyone else. Marcus checks his watch one final time. Now, let's address the immediate crisis. I want the CEO, that's you, Robert, to issue a public statement within 2 hours. Personal accountability, specific reform measures, and a commitment to systematic change. I'll draft it immediately. And Robert, I want you to personally call the 12 Chairman's Circle members and explain what happened here today. They need to hear directly from you that this incident isn't representative of your values or your future standards. The weight of personal calls to 12 of the world's most influential travelers settles over Robert like a lead blanket. Finally, I want a board presentation scheduled for next week, full documentation of today's incident, comprehensive reform proposals, and quarterly progress reporting. This becomes a case study in how to transform crisis into competitive advantage. Marcus walks back to the table, picks up his black board advisory card, and slides it into his jacket pocket. Gentlemen, Ms. Hayes, what happened here today was inexcusable, but it's also preventable. The question isn't whether discrimination exists in your system. Today proved it does. The question is whether you're committed to eliminating it systematically. He moves toward the door, then turns back. Oh, and Robert, my flight to Chicago has been delayed 47 minutes because of this incident. I'll be billing those consulting hours at my standard crisis management rate. Even in the middle of a corporate meltdown, Marcus Williams maintains the composure of someone who turns problems into opportunities. Jennifer, he says, his voice softer now. You're about to walk out to that crowd and apologize publicly. Remember, this isn't just about you. This is about everyone who's ever been looked down upon because someone else made assumptions about who they are or what they deserve. Jennifer nods, understanding finally that her apology represents something much larger than her personal mistake. Are you ready to face the consequences of your actions? She stands up, wipes her eyes, and nods once. Then let's go make this right. The walk from the security office to Gate 12 feels like a death march for Jennifer, but something else entirely for Marcus. He moves with the measured pace of someone who understands that justice isn't about revenge. It's about education. The crowd parts as they approach. 200 faces turn toward them, phones held high, news cameras rolling. The live stream viewer count has reached 1,500. This moment will be preserved forever. Jennifer's hands shake as she stands before the microphone, hastily set up by the news crews. Her voice cracks on the first attempt to speak. "Ladies and gentlemen," she begins, her words barely audible. "I need to make a public apology." The crowd goes silent. Even the background noise of the terminal seems to fade. 30 minutes ago, I made a serious error in judgment. I questioned the validity of Mr. Williams' boarding pass without proper verification. I suggested he might be involved in fraud. I called security based on my assumptions rather than facts. Her voice grows stronger as she continues. Mr. Williams is not only a legitimate first-class passenger, he holds Chairman's Circle status, one of only 12 people worldwide with that designation. More importantly, he's a human being who deserved to be treated with dignity and respect. Someone in the crowd calls out, "What's Chairman's Circle?" Jennifer looks at Marcus, who nods encouragingly. Chairman's Circle represents the highest level of customer status in our industry. These passengers have typically flown over 2 million miles with us and contribute significant revenue to our operations. But even if Mr. Williams had been flying in economy class, even if he'd never flown with us before, he deserved better treatment than I provided. A young woman raises her hand. "Are you being fired?" Jennifer glances at Marcus again before answering. "I'm being suspended for mandatory retraining, but Mr. Williams has recommended that I become part of the solution rather than just a casualty of the problem. I'll be working with our training department to ensure no other employee makes the same mistakes I made today." The crowd murmurs with surprise. They expected termination, not rehabilitation. Marcus steps forward to the microphone. His presence commands immediate attention. "What happened here today wasn't just about one employee's mistake," he says, his voice carrying clearly across the gate area. "It was about systematic failures in training, recognition protocols, and corporate culture." He pauses, making eye contact with individuals in the crowd. "But here's what's going to change. Within 48 hours, every customer service employee in this airline's network will undergo mandatory recertification. The passing score is being raised from 70 to 85%. Real-time verification technology will eliminate guesswork about passenger status." A businessman calls out, "How do we know these changes will actually happen?" Marcus reaches into his jacket and pulls out his board advisory card, holding it up for everyone to see. "Because I'm not just a passenger. I'm Marcus Williams, CEO of Williams Aviation Consulting. This airline pays my company $12 million annually to identify and fix exactly these kinds of problems. Today's incident will become a case study for industry-wide reform." The crowd erupts in murmurs and excited chatter. The discrimination victim is actually the consultant hired to fix discrimination. The irony is perfect, the justice poetic. "More importantly," Marcus continues, "this incident will be documented and tracked. Quarterly reports will go to the board of directors. Executive performance reviews will include customer dignity metrics. What happened to me today will never happen to anyone else." A local news reporter pushes forward with her microphone. "Mr. Williams, what message do you want people to take from this experience?" Marcus considers the question carefully. That power isn't about getting revenge when you're wronged. Real power is using your position to ensure others don't face the same injustice. He turns to address the crowd directly. How many of you have been discriminated against in public spaces? Questioned when you belonged somewhere? Made to feel small because someone made assumptions about who you are? Hands raised throughout the crowd. More than half the people gathered have experienced similar treatment. Today's incident wasn't unique because it happened to me. It was unique because I had the resources and knowledge to document it properly and demand systematic change. But everyone deserves that same level of protection and dignity. The live stream comments explode with support. Dignity Speaks begins trending alongside the original discrimination hashtags. Marcus checks his watch. Flight 447 to Chicago is now ready for boarding. All passengers, including those who witnessed today's events, will receive written documentation of the reforms being implemented. He moves toward the boarding gate, then turns back one final time. Jennifer, you have a choice now. You can let this mistake define you, or you can use it to help transform an entire industry. The training you'll receive, the protocols you'll help develop, the employees you'll educate, they all represent your opportunity for redemption. Jennifer nods, tears flowing freely now, but her posture straighter than it's been all day. Mr. Williams, she says, I won't let you down. Don't do it for me, Marcus replies. Do it for everyone who's ever been made to feel like they don't belong. As Marcus boards the aircraft, the crowd begins to disperse. But phones remain active, social media posts continue multiplying, and the story spreads beyond the airport. Within 6 hours, the airline's stock price recovers completely and rises an additional 1.3%. Investors recognize that systematic discrimination reform represents a competitive advantage, not just a cost center. Within 24 hours, 3 competitor airlines announced similar training protocol reviews. Within 1 week, Marcus's consulting firm receives inquiries from 12 additional aviation companies seeking discrimination prevention services. Jennifer begins her retraining the next Monday. Her first assignment, developing a presentation called When Assumptions Become Discrimination, a personal case study. David Chen implements the new verification technology ahead of schedule. His terminal becomes the pilot program for industry-wide reform. And Marcus Williams, the man who is denied his rightful seat, transforms a moment of injustice into systematic change that protects thousands of future travelers. Because sometimes the most powerful response to being looked down upon isn't looking down on others in return. It's lifting everyone up. 6 months later, Marcus Williams stands in the same terminal, but everything has changed. The verification technology he recommended processes premium status instantly. Digital displays show customer recognition protocols in real time. Training scores for customer service employees average 91%, 24 points higher than the old standard. Jennifer Hayes approaches him at the gate, but this time, she's wearing a trainer's badge. Her posture radiates confidence, earned through education and redemption. Mr. Williams, she says, extending her hand, I wanted to thank you again for giving me a second chance. Marcus shakes her hand warmly. How's the training program going? We've certified over 8,000 employees across the network. Discrimination complaints have dropped 87%. Customer satisfaction scores for premium services have reached all-time highs. She pauses, her expression becoming more serious. But more importantly, we're changing hearts and minds. When employees understand the real cost of assumptions, financial, personal, and moral, they approach every interaction differently. Marcus nods approvingly. What's next for you? I'm being promoted to Director of Customer Dignity Initiatives. We're expanding the program to 12 other airlines. Your case study has become the industry standard for bias prevention training. The irony isn't lost on either of them. The woman who once accused him of fraud now leads industry-wide discrimination prevention efforts. Jennifer, you've transformed a moment of failure into a career of impact. That takes courage. I learned from the best, she replies. You could have destroyed my career with a phone call. Instead, you gave me the tools to rebuild it on something meaningful. As Jennifer walks away, Marcus reflects on the broader changes rippling through the industry. The hashtag Dignity Speaks has become a movement. Travelers share stories of positive service experiences alongside accounts of discrimination. Companies compete on inclusion metrics, not just profit margins. David Chen, now Regional Director of Customer Experience, stops by Marcus's seat. The quarterly board report shows premium customer retention up 34%, David says. Revenue from high-value travelers has increased $57 million since we implemented your recommendations. And the human cost? Marcus asks. Employee satisfaction scores have improved dramatically. When people feel proud of how they treat customers, they're more engaged, more productive, and more likely to stay with the company. David pauses. Marcus, I need you to know, that day changed my entire perspective on leadership. I was managing processes instead of protecting people. Now I understand the difference. As his flight boards, on time, with perfect service recognition. Marcus considers the lasting impact of that 47-minute delay 6 months ago. The discrimination incident that could have destroyed careers instead transformed an entire industry. Jennifer's mistake became her mission. David's oversight failure became his expertise. A moment of injustice sparked systematic justice. But the most profound change isn't in corporate policies or training programs. It's in the thousands of travelers who now experience dignity instead of discrimination, respect instead of assumptions. Marcus settles into his chairman's circle seat, not because of the luxury, but because it represents something deeper. The principle that every human being deserves to be treated with respect, regardless of how they look or where they come from. The flight attendant approaches with genuine warmth, not performative courtesy. Welcome aboard, Mr. Williams. We're honored to have you flying with us today. Thank you, Marcus replies. But I want you to remember, every passenger deserves that same welcome. Whether they're flying first class or economy, whether they're a frequent flyer or traveling for the first time. She nods, understanding that excellence isn't about exclusive treatment. It's about universal dignity. As the aircraft pushes back from the gate, Marcus opens his laptop to review consulting proposals from companies across multiple industries. Transportation, hospitality, retail, healthcare. Organizations everywhere want to learn how to transform discrimination incidents into systematic reform. Because sometimes the most powerful stories aren't about getting even. They're about getting better. Not just for yourself, but for everyone who comes after you. Have you witnessed discrimination in public spaces? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience matters, and your voice can drive change. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to join our community of people who believe every human being deserves dignity and respect. If you see discrimination happening, document it safely, speak up when possible, and support businesses that demonstrate inclusive practices. Remember, real change happens when good people refuse to stay silent. Sometimes the most powerful response to injustice isn't anger. It's systematic change that prevents others from experiencing the same treatment. What would you have done in Marcus's situation? Let us know in the comments, share this story if it resonated with you, and subscribe for more stories about turning challenges into positive change. Because the world changes when we choose to lift each other up instead of tear each other down.